Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that you have had a restful solstice period, as well as those of you who observe and celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, and all the other holidays, Kwanzaa in the U.S., and all the other holidays that are occurring at this time of the year. I am here, a day late for the Cancer full moon Ascension report. I actually was a little bit mixed up, to be completely honest. I really thought the Cancer full moon was occurring today, and it did. Here in the UK, it did occur on the 27th, but I got my times mixed up. So I didn't realize it was occurring here like 33 or 34 minutes after midnight. I thought it was later in the day. So I was just chilling, relaxing, in receiving mode, and realized later that it was happening sooner. And when I did, I was I was ready to get up and do the reading, and my guides were like, nope, continue to chill. Actually, that is the theme for this full moon, so you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So I hope that you guys have had a pleasant full moon in Cancer, and I'm here to look at the astrology of that through the lens of tarot, numerology, and channeled messages. I want to welcome you here. Welcome if you're here for the first time. I invite you to do the YouTube thing if you're vibing with my energy and the way that I translate these energies. I invite you to do the YouTube thing, to like, to share, to comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Welcome if you've been here rolling with me for a minute. Welcome if you're joining me from my other channel, Solara Speaks, or, from, my Substack, or even my TikTok. Welcome. So I'm going to get into these energies. I have the chart up and all ready to go. For those of you who are not aware of how I do this, I am not a professionally trained or classical astrologer in any means of that term. I learned how to read energy, the energy of astrology, through tarot, numerology, and channeling. This is how my guides had me learn to understand the mechanisms of the planets and the planetary energies, and how they affect us on an individual level, how they affect our soul's journey, and that would be more what I do when I do people's personal tarot astrology. It's more about your soul's journey, your purpose, your gifts, your talents, etc., and how very specifically these energies are supporting our rise as we ascend back into the fullness of our God consciousness. Is really what it comes down to. This is what this ascension is about. It's about us returning home to the truth of who we are as divine beings, as both creators and destroyers who consciously choose to wield that power to bring harmony, justice, law, order, balance, however you want to look at it. That is kind of the point. So, this full moon in Cancer, the last full moon of the year. So we began the year with a full moon in Cancer. We're closing out the year with a full moon in Cancer. And we had an interesting Cancer season. If I remember correctly, it was quite intense. So this full moon is wrapping up something that may have opened through the new moon in Cancer. I believe that was either July the 17th or the 18th, depending on where you are in the world that occurred, that new moon in Cancer. We were going through a lot of emotional clearing through Cancer season, a lot of reclaiming our nervous and limbic systems to put them back underneath our own authority. A lot of the mind control and, the mind control programs, let's just call it that, the mind control programs of the Matrix were very intricately designed to tap into us on all levels and to find ways to become our master. And one of the ways we were controlled was through the hypothalamus and through our glandular system, and very much so how we, when you traumatize a being time and time again, your abuser begins to have control over your nervous system. If somebody that has been abusing you walks into a room, or you're reminded of a moment, you flinch, right? That is your body programmed. It's been programmed by the abuse. It's been programmed by the abuser. It's not even necessarily something you might consciously think of doing, but it is something that you do nonetheless. It could also be seen as being somewhat of a protective measure, like the fear arises because you're supposed to fear that person or situation. But it's also based upon the imprinting of what has occurred that then programs us to respond in certain ways. And so I say all of this because many of us have been imprinted so thoroughly with trauma and different trauma cycles that our reactions have been out of sync with truth in many ways. In other words, some of us have learned how to downplay energies that are seriously dangerous for us because we were programmed by our abusers into false states of trust. And this happened on a personal and a collective level. And some of us have a hyper trauma response to energies that are actually harmless because we've been through so many situations where we've trusted a person, a being, a circumstance, only to have it blow up. So I say all of this because the Cancer season this year was really about identifying not only the beings, but the patterns, the energies, so that we could get back to the root and learn how to take back command over our own nervous systems and our limbic systems especially, so that we are no longer in agreement or in alignment with energies that harm us, that harm our nervous systems, that play off of our old emotional imprinting that was trauma-based. So I know that's a lot, but I hope that makes sense, okay? So I say all of that because this full moon is wrapping something up to do with that. So around that time, I also remember that we were getting activations that my guides were calling upgrades in our Lemurian water codex, or the Lemurian water codex was returning to the earth planes, meaning that the healing of the waters was occurring on the earth, but it was happening through us and because of us. So if you take your mind back to Cancer season, it might have been quite an emotional time. There may have been situations or timelines that reopened or opened at that time that caused you some manner of either emotional distress or emotional purging and clearing. And it was partly to do with the clearing of the energy grids of the earth planes, purging through us as beings of the old karmic timelines that had been contributing to us repeating these traumas over and over again across lifetimes, or even just across experiences this lifetime, with the same energy wrapped up in different flesh suits, or doing the same thing to ourselves. So that's what this Cancer season was really about, because it was about the clearing of of a lot of the fear, guilt, shame energies that have been feeding the earth and keeping the matrix system alive. So I've spoken about this before, but because we're dealing with the full moon in Cancer, let's talk about this a little bit more tonight. So the earth has two tropics. It has the Tropic of Cancer and it has a Tropic of Capricorn, right? And then right in the center you have that line that we call the equator. And the fact that we have only two signs of the zodiac that are recognized in these lines, it tells us something about the importance that these zodiac signs play in the formation and the maintenance of the energy grids of the earth. Okay, now all of the cardinal signs are connected to equinox and solstice energy. So the spring equinox, or in the northern hemisphere, autumn equinox in the southern hemisphere, or we can just call it the March equinox to make it simpler, occurs when the sun moves astrologically into Aries. The summer solstice, or the June solstice rather, occurs when the sun moves into Cancer. The Am I saying this right? Not the summer solstice. What am I talking about? Yes, the summer solstice. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit confused. The spring equinox, the March equinox is Aries. The summer solstice, or the June solstice, is when the sun moves into Cancer. The autumn or the October equinox is when the sun moves into Libra. And the December solstice, or the winter solstice if you're in the north, summer solstice if you're in the south, I'm going to get this right, kicks off when the sun moves into Capricorn. So the cardinal energies are very important for establishing and maintaining a certain sense of equilibrium on our planet, okay? And they also are the energies that begin something, cardinal, right? So I say all of that because all four of the cardinal signs play a very important role, and they're all in they have starring roles in last night's full moon, because we have the sun in Capricorn and the moon in Cancer, and we have the north node in Aries and the south node in Libra. So we have something that is being kicked off through this full moon. Okay, so full moon energy in general tends to be speak of completion, but whenever we're completing something to bring forth something new. So those energies will forever be overlapping. So there's something that is completing to bring forth something else. And I do really believe that this full moon in Cancer was the closing out of this year, but it's also foreshadowing what is coming up in 2024. And even the numerology kind of shows us that it occurred at 4 degrees. Okay, so the sun was at 4 degrees Capricorn and the moon was at 4 degrees Cancer. We have 4-4 energy, which is a Cancer degree anyway, the number 4. It's the 4th house, which is the house of Cancer. But when you add those two up together, 4-4, you get an 8. And we are moving into a number 8 year, right? So there's even a little bit of, symbolism through the numbers that were being shown of how this energy is beginning to open up some of the themes that we will be visiting in 2024 and the energies that are available to assist us through another year. Okay, so back to the speaking about Cancer and Capricorn as energies that set the grids. So I'm sure many of you are aware, I've spoken about it before, many beings have talked about it, how the matrix system was kept alive by feeding off of our lower vibrational energies. Do I have my... This hasn't come out for a while. I don't think it's come out for a very long time on this channel, but it is my trusty vibrational scale. It's not my vibrational scale, it's my painting of a copy of the vibrational scale, I should say, because it's not my invention. The matrix likes to keep you in fear and below, maybe going up to desire only to dash you and put you back down. So the whole point of the matrix was to keep us ever wanting and never achieving, never getting. So we're on this elusive hamster wheel, ever searching for the thing that's going to make us happy, right? When we get the perfect body, when we get the perfect husband, the perfect wife, when we drive that new car, when we get that new title, when we get that qualification. And if there's one thing I know, we would look to other beings and think they had it made. But if there's one thing I know, some of the greediest and most unsatisfied people are the ones with the most. Okay, so it's all a trick. It doesn't matter what end of the scale the trick was being served in terms of socioeconomic status. It was the same trick, believe it or not, just expressed in a different way. And sometimes more detrimentally to those who had, because the more you have to distract yourself, the less you actually are able to see what's going on. So some of that is actually what we think of as fortune, and hashtag blessed is actually hashtag judgment, but we won't go there right now. Okay? Anyway, I say all of this because the matrix grids were fed off of our fear, our guilt, our shame. And as such, in order to keep the matrix alive, we had to be kept in these lower levels, cycling through them, cycling through them, cycling through them. Now, the lower vibrational emotions are there for a purpose. They're not to be completely discarded. We don't live in, love and light alone. We are creatures of duality who've been sent to learn how to master our godhood by recognizing that we are both creators, love and light, destroyers, mastering our darkness, in order to bring forth the power of utilizing both ends of the scale to bring harmony and balance. That has always been our job. If you look at even, we are God particles, we are God over self alone, right? And if you look at who we would call source or God, this is their office. They create and they destroy. They begin and they end. There must be two energies that are at work in order to create the ability to even evolve, if that makes sense. So we weren't sent to put an end to the darkness. We were here to learn how to master it in order for us to rise higher, okay, and to live predominantly in the light. And I say that because the higher resonating energies, or what we like to think of as light, are love, joy, peace, bliss, enlightenment. And this is where we are supposed to live for the most part. However, the lower vibrational emotions are also our teachers. They're there to help us to move back up. They're there to show us where we've gotten off track. They're there to show us when we are harming self, one another, and the earth. Now, the matrix designed for us to not be able to rise back into the truth of who we are. We are love-based beings. Its design was kept alive by us staying in states that are not true. Living below our value, living out of alignment with our divine truth, what Christians would call sin, which basically means living out of divine alignment. Okay, so the whole point of the matrix was to keep everyone and everything out of divine alignment, so that we lived in chaos, but it appeared to be organized, because it was then sold back to us as being the norm. And if you didn't get down with it, there was a problem with you. You could be medicated, you could be institutionalized. You're the problem, not the system, right? Now, I say all of that because we've been dismantling this, and through this full moon, something is leaving. And what is leaving? Well, what it feels like is leaving is a lot of the debris from the dismantling process. And, excuse me. When Mercury stationed to go retrograde, I started to, hold on a second, let me turn this down. I started to notice that a lot of things were coming up for us to be aware of. So Mercury, I believe, did it go retrograde on I forget what day it went retrograde. I want to say it went retrograde on the solstice, but maybe it went sooner. I don't remember. In all frankness, everything feels like a fucking blur right now. Everything, like, I'm pretty fucking sure that they just did another thing to, like, try to wipe our memories. They do that from time to time. They try to wipe our consciousness so we can't, like, it's almost like, how do I explain this? It's like, so, we progress to a certain point, and if they can wipe our consciousness and we come into agreement with the wiping unconsciously, it's like we repeat the energy and we don't move past a certain point. It's a matrix feature that I feel like they've been like doubling up on. That's the download I've been receiving recently. So, and I feel they do this especially through the solstice window and the Christmas window. They double down on that. And we won't go into that. That's more Solar Speak stuff. But the point is that the grid systems, what supported their ability to feed our energy in this way, has collapsed. It no longer is. And so what we've been dealing with, especially since Mercury went retrograde, Mercury has been showing us discipling us, showing us how we are still contracting our own consciousness to beliefs, systems, even other beings, mindsets that don't support our freedom, that don't support our liberty. And a lot of these energies are so deeply rooted and ingrained because they go deeper than our own set of what we would like to think we've ascribed our own minds to. And it goes deeper because this is matrix programming and it's root energies that have been programmed in us across the ages. And so as such, we all have it, and we've been being shown where it is we're still aligned mentally with stories, narratives, beliefs, mindsets, systems, where we are directing our mental energy or our consciousness towards things that are being fed, that actually in our godhood we need to starve. I hope that makes sense. Now, the way Mercury has been showing us this, the only way you're really going to connect with that energy is if you have been in this mode of wanting to see. It takes a lot of humility, which then opens the heart and the mind. Humility is the ultimate heart and mind opener, not humiliation, humility, because they like to use humiliation in the matrix and call it humility. It's not. It's humility, which is, you could say, the polar opposite of pride. Neither one is good or bad. You can wield the power of humility to let other people stomp on you, right? So all energies must be wielded with power, but oftentimes, and this is matrix programming also, we have taken the energies of humility and pride and we've misused them also. So there are some of us who have been so humble that we've allowed, like I said, we've become martyrs for others, and we need to not be like that. And then there are other beings who are so prideful that they're not able to see and be open to the discipling or the discipline that Mercury wants to bring. So humility is really important because the things that Mercury has been wanting to show us are things that are not pretty, but they are things that our minds have fed for a very long time, and so we must acknowledge those things in order for them to fully leave. And if you rock with me over on Substack, you'll know that in my daily alchemy writings and even in my word for your day, these are things I've been talking about, and the importance of, a lot of the time when we hear that we've got to do some work, with energies that need to be cleared, we jump into this mode of thinking we have to do a lot. But this season, it hasn't been that. It's been more like these are the seabed of the energies, and all we have to do is open our hearts and our minds to acknowledge that they are there, they were running us, and say we don't want that anymore. And that pretty much, the acknowledgement is enough to begin to move that out of our reality. Okay, so I say this because the full moon in Cancer feels like it is sweeping a lot of this debris that has been responsible for keeping the earth in a lower emotional resonance by way of the feeding of the grids with lower vibrational energies. There's a sweeping of that now. Where the Capricorn energy comes in is that Capricorn is the sign that is over our true agreements and contracts with the earth. Not the matrix ones that are designed to bind us, which is why Capricorn is also the devil in the tarot. But the energies that are here to help us live in balance as, beings who are God over self, and therefore, because we respect self, we respect others. Because that's where it begins. If you don't respect yourself, you don't respect others. It's as simple as that. When a person doesn't respect you, it's nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with them. Okay, so when we are in our Godhood and we have respect for self, we respect everything. And I don't care what that energy is, we have respect for what it's there to accomplish. Because everything, whether we like it or not, we like the experience or not, is there to accomplish a divine purpose. And when we stop taking things personally, and we become humble enough to be open in our minds and our hearts to recognize and realize that, that's when we begin to see the value of the lesson. That's when we become alchemists. That's when we're no longer slaves, but we're becoming masters. And this is what this whole process has been about. So this is what this full moon is clearing out and cementing, because our true agreements with the earth, as presented through Capricorn energy, true Capricorn energy, is we are here to bring forth our Taurus, or our second house energy, which is our house of the divine resources that the mother gives us, the divine mother. The divine father gives us our identity through Aries energy, tells us who we are, your I am truth. Your Aries energy, or your ascendant in your chart, is your Aries energy. It is the identity that has been given to you by your divine father, much like in the Matrix, how it's the father that gives the child its last name, and if the father or the man marries the woman, he gives the woman his last name. This is a mirroring of how masculine and feminine energy works in higher levels divinely, right? So the Aries energy, the first house energy, gives you your divine identity, your I am truth, your ascendant sign. The Taurus energy, the second house energy, are the resources the divine mother gives you in order not to survive but to thrive. And these resources are your gifts, your talents, your power, your wisdom that you've accrued through your own experiences across incarnations and your existence, and not only on the earth. And it's what you need in order to live out the identity given to you by way of the first house, or your Aries energy. So the divine father and the divine mother work together to prepare you to go out into the world through the signs of Aries and Taurus, or through the first and second houses, the first two houses of the zodiac wheel. So the Capricorn energy is about how you take those resources that have been given you. The identity, the divine identity you have, your I am truth, because your divine identity is not just based upon your name, obviously. It's based upon who you are in the cosmos and what part of that self you've come to exemplify in this lifetime. In other words, your ascendant is just a snapshot of energy, because cosmologically, you're infinite. You're an infinite, multidimensional being, but this part of yourself, this part of your genius, is what is being exemplified through this incarnation, because it's what you need. It's a part of your identity you need in order to have soul mastery in this revolution of the lifespan that you're here on Earth. So your Capricorn energy is how you are able to take the fullness of that divine identity, right? Coupled with your divine resources, which are gifted to you from the divine father and mother. And your Capricorn energy is how you sow that into the earth in order to help the earth to appreciate and value also. You're here to be a keeper of the earth. We're here to protect her. We're here to leave her in a better state for those who are coming to enjoy her after us. That is the divine agreement. And this is what this full moon in Cancer has been about getting us back to. And it's been about getting us back to this place by way of sweeping the seabed of energies that are at the root of what programmed us out of that truth. Individually, and of course then how we created that collective reality off of our own disconnect with our truth. Now, the 4-4 is Emperor energy, and it's also Cancer energy, and it's also the energy of the Divine Mother, and some would say also angelic protection. And we have been getting an influx of angelic activations that I really began to feel very intensely, higher heart energies too, through the Scorpio window. And they began to be actualized a lot more through Sagittarius season, which of course is the energy through which these activations are made possible in terms of like entering into the earth planes. And then Capricorn energy is how we begin to ground that also. So the signs all do multiple things, but at the end of the day, they all work together to help us to ascend, to help us accomplish what it is we came here to do. And this is why you've got to love them all, because you are all of them. And when people have a beef with a sign, it's most of the time because they haven't resolved something that sign is there to show them about themselves for their own evolution. Because we are all of the signs. We are all 12 signs or 13 signs of the zodiac wheel, and they're all here to teach us lessons to help us return home to self, whether those lessons are gloriously pleasurable or whether, they literally do a work in our souls that is painful. They're all there to accomplish the same task, and what we tune into is always going to be a reflection of where we are on our own path, meaning that when we have forgotten our worth, we tune in more to painful lessons. But when we've learned, we've remembered who we are, and we begin to, embody our value, we move more and more away from contracting ourselves to energies that are designed to harm us. And we do that in myriad ways, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, so this Sun and Moon combo, 4 degrees Capricorn, 4 degrees Cancer, is all about the establishment of something now. So this is interesting because full moon energy, like I said, is oftentimes about the moving out of something. But when we're moving something out, because we live in duality, we're balancing both poles. And this is an energy that is going to become very, very important for you to understand and overstand as we enter into 2024. Because 2023 was the year where it was time for us to get back our light bodies. It's the Chariot energy. It was time for us to get back our light bodies. And 2024 is going to be the year where you learn how to excel in the use of your light body and its activations in accordance with your ability to understand how energy works on poles and how you are here to take the polar opposites of energies and not to judge them as good or bad, but to wield your power to bring harmony. I hope that makes sense, because what is happening 2024 is a year where we are likely going to experience materially more of this energy of the split that we have been seeing, in bits and pieces, really experiencing it viscerally on a mental and emotional level. We're going to start seeing it more materially. And what's going to be really important if you want to be able to get through the illusions of the matrix and get to New Earth, what's going to be really important is that you know how to direct your consciousness towards what it is you need at every given point to maintain your own sense of equilibrium and balance, because our entry into the New Earth is based upon our ability to reach our sense of inner peace and stability, which is your own unique frequency, and to stabilize it, 4-4 energy, and to feed your own consciousness into that, and not in the energies that are going to want to come and distract you and take you to either end of the pole that doesn't support your own sense of equilibrium. And this is what this moon is setting us up for. Remember I said Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. They are two lines on the earth that are very important for the maintenance of the equilibrium of the energies of the earth. Okay, so a new story is being established through the full moon in Cancer that occurred last night. We're no longer playing certain games. There are certain chapters that have been closed, and beings who want to stay in those chapters will find themselves going on a merry-go-round around themselves, because, let's just put it this way, it's time for you to find yourself in the rubble. There's no more looking at what other beings are doing, to the point, you should always be aware, but to the point where it becomes a distraction to you maintaining your equilibrium. And that's not only to do with beings, but that's to do with everything that's about to unroll, because everything right now is going to be trying to get your attention, because your attention is a form of payment, right? Your attention is you directing your consciousness into something, and whatever you direct your consciousness towards, you're feeding and growing. So if you want to spend time worrying over certain things that are occurring in the world, as if that is your world, that is the world you will create for yourself. I hope that makes sense. Because there are things that are happening that will be being reported through media that will be very real. But there's also the polar opposite of something else that's going on in the spirit, especially, that is also very true. But if you're feeding your energy into what the media wants you to focus on versus what is actually being birthed through you and your own consciousness, that's where you will end up. It's always been a fight for your consciousness, but 2024, the energy picks up. And I will be doing a full tarot astrology Ascension written report on these energies that will be available to my members on SUBSTACK, so you can find your way over there if you like, okay? But 2024, it's going to be very important that you learn, that we all learn how to now properly direct our energy towards what it is that we want to see in our world, versus being dragged into conversations and gossip and talking about things that we say we don't want, but we're feeding the energy by constantly paying our attention towards it. And this, back to the astrology, this full moon was the setting off point for all of that. Okay, so the sun in Capricorn, that is the devil, and the Two of Pentacles. Something is being established. What is being established? Well, if the new moon in Cancer season was about the ripping out of the energies that had created a seabed of confusion, and the Mercury going retrograde was about showing us those energies that were at the very, very bottom of the seabed that we just needed to acknowledge, to sweep away, then this sun in Capricorn at 4 degrees and this moon in Cancer at 4 degrees is about the establishing of a new base, 4-4, about foundations. It's about the establishment of a new base, okay, a new seaboard, a new seabed, a new energetic opportunity. But that's what it is. It's not an energetic certainty, it's an energetic opportunity that is fully dependent upon where we're directing our energy. This whole matrix was created from us, by us, because of us. On unconscious levels, our consciousness was used to create this. The whole point of Ascension is getting back our power. Everyone wants to talk about people energy harvesting. They stole my energy. Well, what are you going to do with it now? You're being given it back. And the more you use it and you wield it with authority, the more it's going to come back to you. Right? So, and the more it's going to come back to you because you're wielding it with authority, not because it's a reward for doing the right thing. No, it's because you are judging yourself at this point. You are your own master. When you wield it with authority, you're able to hold more of it. When you're not wielding it with authority, you're opening yourself up for the energy harvesting. That's the point. It's not a reward. You're better than someone and yada yada. That's not how it works. Those are matrix lies. It's not how it works. Those are ego traps and tricks. Anytime we think we're above or below, we're stuck in wounded ego. And this is something that we have to, we're being called in this next cycle to really master, is what it comes down to. Right? So the moon in Cancer is the Chariot and the Two of Cups. Okay, whenever we have twos, Two of Pentacles, Two of Cups, for one thing, it's showing that an energy that has already come through from above. So light codes, fire is the beginning of all energy, Ace of Wands, right? Which is really light. The light codes have already come through the mental planes. The mental planes have been activated. Now there's an activation through the emotional and material planes in order for these things to land, if that makes sense. So whenever you have a two, this is a point of decision and direction. A two is decision and direction. Okay? It's an energy that's not yet seen because it's connected to the High Priestess. It's not yet seen because in order for it to be seen, it must be fed more energy in order for it to come into being. But it's already in the emotional and the material plane, so it's ready to come forth. But it's going to come forth in accordance with what you feed it. I hope I'm making sense, because I know this is a little bit out there. But I feel like those of you who are here to receive the message will get what I'm saying clearly. And those of you who are here to receive the message and you're not getting it yet, you'll be activated, don't worry. Okay? So, Two of Pentacles, Two of Cups. What is also being ready to be established is our ability to come back online with our true family. I don't know if I spoke about this in the last reading. I know I've definitely spoken about it on SUBSTACK and written about it, and I think maybe I've touched on it on Solara Speaks, but your family in the Matrix, for the most part, most of you have come through karmic situations, karmic bloodlines, and they're karmic because they're not in alignment with beings who are here to actually support your divine purpose and your mission. And that was part of what I call like the Matrix quantum entanglement program, where they purposely kept us away from beings through a myriad of ways, purposely kept us away from beings who galactically were here to help rise into our divine purpose and process. Now, the true definition of family, is a group of beings, often, here in the Matrix, connected by blood. If you're looking at it from a galactic standpoint, you're connected by purpose, you're connected by mission, you might be connected by divine lineage and ancestry, but what makes you a cohesive family or tribe is the fact that you share the same purpose, you have the same goal, you have the same mission, and you have the activations and the codes that are here to help one another to accomplish that. Now, because of the quantum entanglement programs of the Matrix, we have been searching for one another for lifetimes, and even when we come back together, there's always something to pull us apart because of all of the spell work and the frequency fuckery, right? So that stuff seems to be leaving, but here's the thing again. When we come back together as groups, romantic situations, etc., to begin to reestablish our true galactic associations, you could say, we will need to learn how to navigate through the densities that we have to collapse together. And this is where the humility, the knowing thyself, and the being real with self is so important when coming back together in romance or in a group, because there will be no more matrix shenanigans, you know, and we're all guilty of them. I don't care who the fuck you are, how ascended you fucking think you are. We've all been part of this program, so we all got shit to purge when we come into alignment with other beings. And those of you who know that, will be entering into these situations eyes wide open, so that you create relational foundations that are in complete opposition to the toxic relational structures and all of the subversive and covert energies that were designed to ultimately either tear beings down or use beings for something. The Matrix was very much tied to this idea of, you know, being social, but it was based upon the premise of what someone could do for you. You loved someone because they loved you back, which, you know, this is important too, but you know, it's important that you love someone who loves you back, yes, but you don't love someone just because they love you. It has to be that you love yourself first, and that person is just reflecting that back to you. What was going on in the Matrix was there were these really deficient beings getting together because one needed to give love, overgive in order to feel loved, and another being needed to take love in order to feel loved, and that is codependency. You get what I'm saying? And it's not only in romance, it was in everything. Like a lot of friendships, especially in adult life, friendships, networking, it's all about what can you give me, where can you get me, who can you introduce me to, how can you take me higher on my own, you know, to accomplish what it is that I want to accomplish. And in that sense, there's been a lot of using people. And again, this in and of itself is not a bad thing, but it was expressed wrongly. We are here to take one another higher and to open avenues so that we accomplish our goals. But we're not here to latch on to people out of fear because we think that that's the only way. And the Matrix had a lot of us, a lot of beings doing that. And so all of these dynamics, they have to be looked at for exactly what they are, because a new foundation, 4-4, is wanting to be set for how we relate with one another based upon how much work, self-work we've done to properly relate to self, honor self, respect self, and be radically honest with self. And to have also liberated our need to play God over others. And more importantly, to recognize when and where and how we do that, when we do, so we can, you know, self-correct. This process is not about perfection, it's just about high awareness. Yes? So let's move into the other planets, because this is like 50 minutes in, but I owe you guys a longer video, really I do. Mercury in Sagittarius at 25 degrees. Interestingly enough, Mercury is going to be stationing to go direct on New Year's Day at 22 degrees. So we've got that 22 energy of Capricorn coming up again. You know, we have it being shown here through the Sun and the Moon, the 2-2, 2 of Pentacles, 2 of Cups, 4-4 energy. But we have it Mercury is stationed to go direct on the 1st, so the first day of the year. So I found that to be very interesting because Mercury began its retrograde through Capricorn and is ending at a Capricorn degree in Sagittarius. And this whole Mercury retrograde has been about helping us to see the ways we are still bound to certain covert energies that are keeping us out of our own liberation, Sagittarius energy, our own liberation and ability to connect with the fullness of who we are divinely. Yes, so Mercury in Sagittarius at 25 degrees. So that would be, Mercury would be the magician, Sagittarius is temperance. The 25-degree mark is the 10 of Wands. 25 is a degree of Aries, astrologically speaking, and you could break it down into the tarot energy of the Chariot, which is, again, Cancerian energy. And because we're dealing with a 7, the 2 and the 5 breaks down to be a 7, we are still speaking about things that need to come into divine order, okay? And if you want to take it even farther, you could say the 2 is the High Priestess and the 5 is the Hierophant. So once again, Mercury is showing us through the numbers and through the tarot associations that we are still, this full moon is bringing illumination to where our consciousness is still in agreement with hidden energies that we have been bound to systemically, religiously, institutionally, familially. What lies are we still believing that we've been fed to be a part of, to be another cog in these groups and these systems, and we've accepted it as truth. Even if we've liberated ourselves from these systems, institutions, family, yada, 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 doesn't matter. Where are there still traces of lies about yourself, your power, your abilities, your truth, that are still hiding, that are still keeping you hidden, that are still keeping you from having full access to the fullness of who you are? Mercury connects you to the fullness of who you are cosmically. Mercury connects you to spirit. Mercury connects you to, universal consciousness. Mercury connects you with the information you need to set yourself free and walk in truth. So Mercury is helping us to see, where is it? Where do we still need to get the hell out of Dodge? Chariot energy, right? Hell out of Dodge. In terms of the ways we have come into agreement with our minds, especially to certain beliefs, and sometimes those beliefs are not overt, but they're still part of our subconscious programming. And a lot of this Mercury retrograde energy is highlighting exactly that. Those thoughts and thought patterns that ultimately we need to see in order to get to the root of the issue so that we can do what we need to do, whether it's cut cords, call back our power, remove ourselves from certain situations, reprogram our own minds, use whatever it is you need to do. Mercury is showing you so you know how to step into high gear with taking back authority over that part of your own God narrative. So this for many of us will have especially to do with our ancestry. 10 of Wands energy. The 10 of Wands is the energy where we begin to break out of ancestral curses that are not only connected to our family lineage, but also connected to the ancestral energies of the earth. But especially those karmic, what we call karmic, karmic or quantum entanglement energies that have been playing out across ages to keep us apart. But the only way we collapse those timelines is by seeing and receiving the information that is here to ultimately liberate us, even if it does hurt our feelings. Okay? Another energy I've been picking up on, which again is very much tied to this Mercury wanting to liberate our minds, and the agreements we've made with our consciousness unconsciously that have connected us to systems, systemic ways of being and thinking, institutionalized religious ways of thinking or thinking that we're better because we know something more. Mercury is all about the dealing of information. And one thing I've noticed a lot since Mercury began to go retrograde is the amount of self-righteousness I've been encountering in beings who really do believe that because they have the information about Ascension, that is the key to moving forward. And it's not. This is a frequency game. You can know this and regurgitate it all you want. That's a matrix program. And if you're not aware of that, you're going to be fucked. And it will be your judgment. And I'm not saying you, because I know that the majority of you watching are not these beings. But I am saying that there are a lot of people who think that they can come into spirituality and ascend by using the same system they used in the Matrix to excel, but that's not how it works. It's always been a heart game. It's always been a frequency game. It doesn't matter how much information you know if you haven't turned it into wisdom. And wisdom then becomes application. And information does not become wisdom if the heart and the intention of what you want to do with that information isn't pure. And this is where, on a frequency level, not everyone is going to be going forward. And it's not everyone is supposed to be going forward. This has always been a frequency game, but it's always been an issue of evolution. And not all souls are ready to go, and not all souls want to go. Okay, so be aware, because I feel like not many people are aware of that. Some people have this idea that everyone is supposed to ascend and you're supposed to help everyone and yada, yada, yada. And that's Age of Pisces religious bullshit. Okay, you're not. Your responsibility right now is self. And when you master that, that's when your mastery is going to free the collective, not the other way around. Right? So, and this is what the Mercury is showing us also. It's helping us to recognize, from earlier on this year, I've been saying the importance of getting alone. It's always been important on this journey, but for some of you especially, all processes of birth and death require for you to be alone, including this one. And our preoccupation with what is happening with other beings, if we don't get a hold of that narrative and redirect that energy towards self and what it is we're here to actually create, not manifest, create, then we're going to not learn how to ride our own light vehicles. And that's what 2024 is about. So Mercury is already helping us to get ready for that. The new currency, especially in the spiritual community, it seems to be information. And again, you cannot take the principles that created this matrix of discord and apply it to spirituality and think you're going to get forward. It's not how it works. It's not about who knows the most. It's about who is actually able to take any information they have and apply it to rise. There are some beings who don't have access to a whole bunch of information, but the application of that information into wisdom is what will aid them in rising, versus beings who are running around trying to learn about everything from everyone and they have no real center because they keep on seeking things outside of self and information. The Matrix made us believe that the more we knew in terms of information, it made us smart. That's not true. Wisdom, true wisdom, is the ability to take information and apply it to the heart, activate it through the heart, and to live it out. Venus in Scorpio at 26 degrees. Venus in Scorpio, whew, this is an intense energy. Venus in Scorpio wants us to be done with giving away those aspects of ourselves that are sacred to those beings who can't appreciate our beauty. Appreciate. Notice I said the word appreciate. Appreciation is when you are able to take something and cause it to grow and multiply. When we are with beings who we are actually in alignment with on an energetic level, they help us to appreciate and value, and we help them to do the same simply by being around one another. And Venus in Scorpio is being very, very, I don't want to say like not cutthroat, but being very, very, not even loud, just being very, very, what would be the word? Adamant. Venus in Scorpio is adamant that you learn as a divine being who and what you are able to bring into heaven versus those that must be left behind. Not everyone gets to re-enter the garden. And I'm not only talking about people, I'm talking about states of mind. I'm talking about it all. Venus in Scorpio is challenging us to recognize this, to recognize what is sacred, and to begin to draw a line or a boundary that protects that. Many of us as divine beings, we've had ourselves open to everything and everyone because, well, that was our heart. And then many of us fell into the love and light or the self-sacrificing religion. And sacredness doesn't sacrifice self. Sacredness does not, people who are living in their sacred truth do not sacrifice themselves. People who are living in their sacred truth protect their sacredness. So Venus in Scorpio is giving us lessons on the boundaries of how we protect our beauty, protect our sacredness, protect what it is that is coming forth. Yes? Venus in Scorpio is also helping us to transform our hearts. It's helping us to transform our hearts so that the things that we are putting our minds towards comes back into alignment with energy that births beauty. So Venus is the Empress, Scorpio is death, the Tower, and Judgment, and the 26 degree mark is the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups is a very interesting energy because many people will say, it's confusion, which it definitely can be. But it's confusion because we don't know how to properly deal with the expansiveness of heart that it opens us up to, is really what it comes down to. The Seven of Cups is also the card that begins to open us up to our heart's desires. And if we don't believe that we are worthy of receiving everything that we say that we've been wanting, then the energy becomes confusing. It becomes confusing because we haven't decided who we are. We haven't chosen the truth of our worth. We haven't made ourselves worthy to receive it. And in that, we don't know how to be a container for it. We're not stable enough to hold it. And in that, it becomes confusing. The Seven of Cups is also connected to Chariot energy. It's how we are beginning to learn how to drive our light bodies off of how we wield the power of our emotions. And this is why Venus is helping us to invest our emotions wisely. It's not a wise investment to invest our emotions in beings who can't appreciate our value. And no amount of trying to make them or improving ourselves is going to do that, because the issue is not with you, it's with them. People value other beings when they value themselves. And it doesn't matter what, I can value a person who's pissed me the fuck off. I can value them for the lesson, and then I can say, thanks for the lesson, now I'm putting the barrier up because you don't value me And I know that from the way you've behaved towards me. I value the lesson you've given me, and I value myself enough to step away. And I might even value you enough to tell you a few things of truth to help you rise into your own value also. But my point is that the Venus in Scorpio at 26 degrees is showing us how to have a value, how to invest our emotions in accordance with a divine value system, as opposed to just giving ourselves away to beings who squander us. And I'm not just talking about consciously, I'm talking about, again, we are moving into a year where we direct our energy, it's going to be very important. We're going to be learning how to do this in ways that build our true nature and our new earth. So Venus is here to show us how we are still directing our emotions towards energies that we say we want gone or dead, but we won't let them go because we have an emotional investment that we need to take a look at, you know. And I talked about this in the last video on Solara Speaks. Are we still obsessed with how other beings are seeing us who've hurt us? Are we still like listening to the readings? When they see you, they won't believe how far you've come and yada, yada, yada. Who gives an actual fuck? You had me, you lost me, you wasted, you cost me. I don't want you here messing with my mind, said Joss Stone, and my heart, says Solara. You feel me? Yes. Okay. So, Mars at 23 degrees, Sagittarius. Mars has been that energy through, been moving through Sagittarius as the caboose. Has been like, the security detail, making sure that certain things don't cross the barrier. Venus is showing you right now. Nope. That bitch is skeezy over there. No, joking. But Venus is for real. Venus is just like, that energy can't move forward with you. That energy can't move forward with you. That person can't move forward with you. That investment of your time is going to get... Venus and Mercury are working to show you. And Mars is just like clearing the pathway, coming behind to make sure to protect and to protect your investment. That's what Mars is doing. 23 degrees is a degree of Aquarius. Mars is protecting the investment that you are making, or that is being made, I should say, towards the new age. And this year, 2024, the coming year, is a number 8 year, which I said, earlier on. And the number 8 in the tarot is the Strength card, Leo energy, and the Star, Aquarius energy, sister signs, and the 2 signs of the Golden Ages. This is the year where we are likely going to start to see materialized in real time what this new age, the possibilities of what it holds. There will be a fight in getting there, Strength card. But everything is in alignment, Star card, right? I'll delve into this in the Tarot Astrology Written Report. But Mars at 23 degrees in the last full moon of 2023 is like, I got you. I'm in the back, I'm in the caboose with my rifle, making sure that nothing goes forth with you that isn't supposed to. Nothing that would cause you to be at war with yourself is able to pass this line, says Mars. Excuse me. Now Mars is, and it's also protecting the divine feminine, because we got the 2 and the 3, that's an Aquarian degree, but in the tarot, that's the High Priestess and the Empress. And I think it wasn't here, it was on Solara Speaks. I mentioned how those 2 energies, those 2 consciousnesses are finally merging in many people. It's no longer someone's going to be a high priestess or an empress, like you can't be both, when that's what you ultimately are supposed to be in your divine feminine energy. You're supposed to be both, right? And Mars is facilitating that union. Mars is facilitating the full return of the Divine Mother principles back onto the planet in her whole form, not her fragmented state. Okay? So Temperance card and the Ten of Wands again, driving us out of the ancestral fuckery and the quantum entanglement that has kept us fucked. Yes. Jupiter in Taurus at 5 degrees. Saturn in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, Taurus and Piscean energy. I'm not going to get into all of this, but I can tell you the Taurus energy is about the recovery of the value that the Divine Mother gave us all. You know, the Piscean energy is about overcoming not only hidden enemies, but also connecting with our ability to be free. Remember, energy works in poles. So the Piscean energy, as powerful as it is to keep us stuck in terms of hidden enemies and energies barring our way out, it's powerful to help us see the truth also, to get free. And that's how energy works. It's how they all work in the signs even being expressed. As powerful as that Capricorn energy can be in terms of the devil that binds us to energies that keep us stuck in the matrix and karmic cycles, including addictions, right? And obsession with materialism and carnality, it's the same energy that liberates us from that, because that's how energy works on poles. And as God over self, you're here to learn how to wield the power of both in the appropriate circumstances in order to maintain a sense of personal equilibrium first and foremost. Whew. Okay. Alrighty. So something's ending. Nodes are at 21 degrees. They're moving towards the end of the third decan of Libra and Aries, 21 degrees. When it moves into 20, it begins to move into the second decan, so 21 degrees. Closing out the decan, the 21 is also connected to the world. In the tarot, it's Scorpio energy, death and rebirth. Scorpio degree, I should say, 21, death and rebirth. It's the High Priestess and the Magician. This is almost like the recuperation of your tools. That's what the nodes are speaking about. The recuperation of your tools. The recuperation of the tools that return you to a state of godhood, but also liberate you to know how to properly wield them and liberate you to know how to properly wield them with others, because that's the Libra and 7th house energy. This is a new story. Well, we're wrapping up an old story because we're opening up a new one. It's a new time of learning how to be responsible with our own energy, our own power, and learning how to wield that with one another. This is what is opening up. Same themes I've been talking about before. And then, of course, Chiron is now stationed to go direct. Whoop, whoop. Time to see if we have mastered healing, like certain areas, but Chiron and Aries, have we mastered healing our God complexes? Have we mastered that? Have we mastered healing our God complexes to the point where we have taken back our ability to be God and master over self, and therefore removed our need to be God and master over others? Because every time we're trying to control another person, their narrative, their point of view, etc., how they live, we're casting judgment on them for how they live or what they do, etc., it's because we have a God complex. We think we know how to wield their energy more efficiently than them. It's a God complex. And the God complex energy is the root of narcissism. And the narcissistic energy is the bedrock upon which the templates of the Matrix were built. The Matrix didn't want you being God over self. The Matrix wanted us constantly running around in ego playing God. Yes? No more of that. No more of that. It's time to put on our big girl knickers, our big boy underpants, and stop playing God and to be God over self. Over self, because that was the design. If you are a particle of God, then aren't you here to physically be God? Aren't you? Not over everything and everyone, but aren't you physically here to be God over self and to actualize Godhood through your existence physically? And can you do that when you're leaking energy trying to play God over another being, or directing it towards things that you don't need to be directing it towards? Because if you're in your Godhood, many of the things, if we are secure in who we are in our Godhood, many of the things we direct our energy towards, they would be no-go zones. We would say, oh shit, not going there. I'm not taking my precious resources and putting it towards something that I know is going to grow, that I'm not consciously creating. I'm not consciously in choosing to create. We wouldn't invest it in stories that bring fear, that cause us to question and doubt ourselves. Right? There's so many ways to begin to think about this. But I'm going to leave it there because it's, an hour and 15 minutes in. But I hope that this report was helpful and insightful. I send you guys all so much love and also gratitude. Thank you so much for all the ways you've supported me this year. Solara Rises. I only really began to post messages here, I want to say, in the springtime, and I only really began to do these tarot astrology reports during, I want to say Gemini season was the first time. And I'm so happy to see the growth over here, and I thank you. I thank you for, as I said in my thank you post earlier this week, giving my voice somewhere to land. I thank you for all the ways you've supported me in my rise back into my truth and purpose. And I hope that this year my messages have assisted you in doing the same. So I send you so much love, joy, peace, and the best wishes for your 2024. I will be back here again soon. Take care.